The reality hit harder than the Colorado sun as Deirdre circled his truck like a shark, her camera clicking faster than a Geiger counter near Chernobyl, citing commercial vehicles for the faded Phoenix Property Solutions decals on his personal F-150, unapproved landscaping for Millicent's pink rose bushes that had bloomed since the Carter administration, and mailbox paint degradation for 3 chips so small you'd need a magnifying glass to care. Her violation notices printed on embossed card, stock with Marcus's name in calligraphy, a premeditated bureaucratic assault that screamed this wasn't her first rodeo. Neighbors watched from behind curtains, their faces etched with fear. An elderly woman across the street slammed her blinds shut when Deirdre's gaze swept her way, and a man washing his car suddenly found his tire pressure urgently fascinating, their terror palpable as Deirdre delivered a chilling line. The previous owner had compliance challenges before her unfortunate passing, the word unfortunate dripping with menace that sent a shiver down Marcus's spine, hinting at a darker story beneath her. Suburban tyranny. He calmly requested the HOA covenants and financial records, a routine move from his property management days where reading fine print was a survival skill. But Deirdre's claim that they were confidential only deepened his suspicion, and when he mentioned his background, her smile flickered, revealing a predatory glint as she promised enforcement measures and clicked away, leaving Marcus with $2,100 in fines and the distinct impression he'd been marked for execution. The next morning, a certified letter arrived like a mob contract. The fines now inflated to $2,837, with administrative fees and late penalties that multiplied overnight, accompanied by time-stamped photos of his truck and rose bushes, and threats of a lien within 30 days, CC'd to the management company and a lawyer, whose name suggested he specialized in foreclosing on dreams. Deirdre assumed Marcus was another intimidated homeowner who'd fold, but she didn't know he'd spent years dissecting contracts sharper than her heels, and her mistake was underestimating a man who thrived on exposing fraud. Marcus drove to the county recorder's office, a fluorescent-lit purgatory of musty paper and surly clerks, where the 1983 HOA covenants revealed a 12-page document of common sense. Rules: keep your yard tidy, no carnival-colored houses. While Deirdre's current 47-page manifesto regulated everything from pet walking routes to approved wreath sizes, most changes requiring homeowner votes that never happened, rendering her rules as legal as a grocery list. And Millicent's rose bushes were grandfathered, nullifying Deirdre's violation. The financial records were a revelation. Numbers didn't add up. Expenses were inflated like parade floats, and the budget seemed written by someone who learned accounting from fortune cookies, with $40,000 for landscaping but only $15,000, reaching the contractor, raising the question of where the rest vanished. Enter Gladys, a 78-year-old retired librarian who materialized like a neighborhood. Intelligence fairy godmother, her thick folder documenting Deirdre's reign of terror with librarian. Precision, 12 families targeted in 2 years. Excessive fines, impossible deadlines, and forced sales below market value, with Deirdre's real estate company scooping up the listings, including 3 elderly residents, driven out, Mrs. Olivia for a slightly leaning mailbox, the Rodriguez family for a visible bicycle, and Mr. Patterson, a Korean War vet, for an improperly proportioned American flag. Deirdre escalated, demanding entry to Marcus's home for interior violations, a concept as absurd as it was invasive. But he declined, citing the Fourth Amendment, while her boyfriend Chad, sporting a fake security badge from a mall cop catalog, photographed through his windows like a discount private investigator. Marcus dropped a calculated breadcrumb, loudly noting the $25,000 landscaping discrepancy, watching Deirdre's face flash panic as she and Chad retreated faster than vampires at dawn. The next day, a city code inspector, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, arrived after an anonymous tip about an abandoned commercial vehicle, found nothing wrong with Marcus's truck, and apologized, noting the caller knew his exact address. Hours later, the state contractors board called about an unlicensed business at his home, Another false report. At 2 a.m., footsteps on gravel woke him, and through the blinds, he saw Deirdre's BMW creeping past like a suburban stalker mobile. And by morning, his mailbox was spray-painted with random squiggles, and a pile of dog waste adorned his porch. Positioned with surgical precision, good thing he'd installed security cameras, capturing her license plate and Chad, skulking like the world's least competent ninja. Marcus's investigation deepened, revealing a pool cleaning contract at $800, a month for a 30-foot pool that looked like a science, experiment gone wrong, market rate $200, landscaping at $3,000, monthly for mowing 47 tiny yards, and $15,000, yearly legal fees for compliance enforcement that rivaled corporate merger budgets, all tied to Deirdre's inner circle, her nephew's landscaping company, Chad's pool service, and her college roommate's law firm, a suburban crime syndicate skimming thousands through shell companies. Sophia, a paralegal and single mom who'd faced her own HOA harassment, offered legal research, confirming most of Deirdre's rules lacked votes, while Bob, a Vietnam vet whose hands bore the scars of building bridges under fire, exposed fake infrastructure projects, a security system that was one broken camera pointed at a tree, non-existent road repairs, and drainage work existing only on invoices. Pastor Williams lent his church basement for strategy meetings, turning Marcus's coffee shop gatherings at Rosie's Diner into a resistance movement. With 31 households committed to the mandatory annual HOA meeting requiring 67% attendance, 32 homeowners, Deirdre, sensing the noose tightening, filed a false police report claiming Marcus threatened her, but Officer Rodriguez, a cop who'd seen too many petty disputes, saw through it, warning Marcus to document everything, especially when Deirdre demanded his arrest for intimidating a public official, a claim Rodriguez dismissed, asking about HOA finances isn't a crime. False reports are, at 2 a.m., Marcus found a safety deposit box key in Millicent's recipe box, tucked between apple pie and pot roast instructions. The box held 5 years of evidence, audio of Deirdre, admitting to creative accounting, forged covenant amendments, bank statements showing systematic theft, and a letter in Millicent's careful handwriting, written 2 weeks before her death. Marcus, Deirdre's destroying our community. I'm too old to fight. Maybe you aren't. Her doctor's records. Subpoena during inheritance proceedings showed her blood pressure spiking during Deirdre's harassment, suggesting stress triggered her fatal heart attack, turning Marcus's fight from personal defense to a mission to honor Millicent's legacy. The HOA's financials revealed $300,000 vanished through fake invoices, and Millicent's property included natural gas, royalties, $18,000 diverted to Deirdre's accounts, giving. Marcus standing for a forensic audit, Deirdre called an emergency. Board meeting with 24 hours notice, violating the 72-hour bylaw, trying to push foreclosure against his property in her living room, where her oak desk and vanilla candles mimicked a courtroom, but only 3 board members showed, insufficient for a quorum, and Gladys shut it down, citing Robert's Rules of Order, prompting Deirdre to scream, calling her a meddling busybody. Sophia's research tied Deirdre's nephew Chad and her roommate to the vendor scam, while violation patterns showed surgical targeting of elderly residents and single parents, unlikely to fight back misses. Patterson fined for a memorial flag, the Johnsons for kids' chalk drawings. Deirdre's desperation escalated. She spread rumors Marcus was a gang-affiliated, dishonorably discharged blackmailer, using fake social media accounts to push lies with racial undertones, and sent a $47,000 special assessment for non-existent playgrounds and road repairs. But Marcus's attorney, Jennifer Olivia, with 15 years of HOA law experience, subpoenaed records, revealing $447,000 in theft, 12 felonies, and forged documents. Deirdre tried to cancel the annual meeting, citing security concerns, but state law blocked her. She hired security to intimidate residents who refused to play thugs, and attempted to withdraw $89,000 from HOA accounts, but the bank froze them, so she destroyed records, adding obstruction of justice to her charges. She stalked Marcus at the grocery store, positioning herself at aisle ends like a suburban secret agent. Scent violation. Notices to coalition members. Gladys for excessive bird feeding. Sophia for bicycles in her garage. Bob for his military flag and left threatening notes. With Gladys's car windshield smashed and Sophia finding dead flowers with a warning. Mind your own business or this could be you. At 11 p.m., Deirdre offered Marcus $50,000 in cash to drop everything, unaware he was wired for the FBI. Her 47-minute confession, admitting to fake assessments and manipulating sheep residents, adding bribery to her felonies as Agent Martinez listened, barely containing his excitement. The community rallied, with 41 households joining Marcus's rebellion, raising $12,000 for legal fees, and local businesses donating catering and supplies. Sarah Mitchell, a reporter, covered the story, and national HOA abuse groups amplified it, with Sophia's WhatsApp group growing to 37 members sharing evidence, and Pastor Williams' church basement becoming a war room where Gladys organized evidence. Sophia prepared cease and desist orders, and Bob documented fake infrastructure, 847-page evidence package, audio, video, victim testimony backed by before and after, photos of neglected pools and unbuilt playgrounds. The community center was booked for the annual meeting. Her new attorney's plea deal rejected as Marcus demanded full restitution and prosecution for Millicent and future residents. The morning of the meeting, the community center buzzed with electric tension. 73 residents packing a space meant for 50, coffee thermoses and folding chairs, the air thick with fresh coffee and floor wax as media crews, including Sarah Mitchell and a Denver TV affiliate, set up cameras for a story gone prime time. Deirdre arrived late, in a navy blazer clutching a briefcase of empty threats, trying to remove Marcus for disruptive behavior, but Gladys, wielding bylaws like a sword, demanded homeowner input, the crowd erupting in applause as Deirdre's gavel-banging failed. Marcus's presentation was a guided missile, charts showing $447,000 in theft, photos of non-existent improvements, audio of Deirdre's sheep confession, sparking gasps, tears from elderly residents, and shouts when her racist enforcement was exposed. She interrupted, screaming about conspiracies and playing the race card, claiming neighbors couldn't trust his kind, but the room, bonded by decades of shared lives, rejected her, and the bribery recording sealed her fate, with Jennifer Olivia citing Colorado's single-party consent law against Chad's objections. Detective Williams announced pending FBI and state charges, her real estate license revoked, and the vote unanimously removed her board, appointed Marcus as financial oversight chairman, and approved prosecution. My great-aunt taught me communities are built on trust, not fear. Today, we reclaim ours, earning a 5-minute standing ovation for every bullied neighbor. 6 months later, Deirdre was sentenced to 4 years for embezzlement and mail fraud. Chad got 18 months. Her nephew's company collapsed under IRS scrutiny, and $312,000 was recovered, cleaning the pool, building a playground, and dropping HOA fees to $95, while Marcus's consulting business, Marcus Cleaning and Property Solutions, recovered $2 million for other HOAs, and Colorado passed an audit law inspired by their fight. Millicent's garden became a memorial with her roses and a little library, the community thriving with kids playing, neighbors talking, and property values up 12%. As Gladys documented their history, Sophia started a nonprofit for HOA abuse victims, and Bob ensured real improvements. Their second annual Millicent Day drawing 200 attendees, with a documentary crew studying their legal strategy, now a national template, proving that with evidence, law, and solidarity, David can defeat Goliath as Marcus walked the neighborhood, the smell of barbecue replacing fear, laughter echoing where whispers once hid, honoring Millicent's legacy in a community reborn.